That was pretty funny though. Cancel due to lack of interest.
They did that real quick.
Regular media frenzy. Why?
They were feuding about something and they didn't want to vote on it. So they of the state farms up there. I don't know what they were feuding about. They feuded quite a bit.
Good bill. Seems like eventually you want to.
No, we started out feuding with Love Grove and
I don't know. Sometimes it's earlier than later.
I called Mike's house and she wasn't back yet. I think that storm's over.
No core, huh?
All right. Go watch football.
Really?
There's dugout. Just watch it. Looks like bubbles here.
yeah, but we need one more.
It's just earlier.
Oh, there's two more. We thought we were going to get to go home early, Bob. No quorum. And there's Fred. Find your way over here two more times. Find your way over here two more times. Very, very close.
Could have had a touchdown.
Yeah.
Seriously? Yeah.
Has it ever happened?
Yes, they did it deliberately. No, it never happened when I was here, but they did it deliberately.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll read that. Thanks, Jim.
Meeting will come to order. Meeting will come to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Let the record show that Mike Craig is not present. Larry McLaughlin is not present. And I believe the rest of the members are present. I'm not sitting in my seat, but will vote as a sitting alderman. First item is approval of the minutes. Is there any alterations or corrections of the minutes as presented? If not, they will stand approved as presented. The next item is a special presentation by the Health Department on the De-Icer program. So Jim or Ellen, whoever is on.
Mr. President, as you're aware, the Missoula City County Health Department and the Missoula community in general are in the process of trying to get its federally mandated requirement for submitting an approvable plan to the Environmental Protection Agency, which shows how the community will attain federal particulate standards and maintain those standards into the future. A proposal is being brought before you to essentially require that we change the way by which we keep the streets safe in Missoula for driving on, and I'll go through this material very quickly for you. The The EPA mandate requires that we show attainment not only in present years but in future years, specifically 1994 and 1997. With the current SIP, which was approved by the City Council last year, we are not showing attainment in 1994 and 1997. And in 1997, using EPA's calculation methods, we're shown to be 155.8 micrograms on the worst days of the year. And the requirement, of course, is that we stay below 150 micrograms, which is the federally mandated standard. Road dust, using the source apportionment method that EPA mandates, is currently about 53.2 micrograms per cubic meter of the contribution, with residential wood combustion, motor vehicles, and industrial sources falling behind those two major contributors. We need to get that number down below 150 micrograms in 1997 so that we can have an approvable SIP and avoid sanctions by the Environmental Protection Agency. In the past month, the City County Health Department, the City County Board of Health, its Water Pollution Advisory Council and Air Pollution Advisory Council have looked at the proposal to use de-icing materials on the city streets and have come up with a proposed ordinance. That ordinance applies only to streets inside the city of Missoula and essentially requires that sanding materials other than approved de-icers, when the ambient temperature is above 0 degrees, be used on public roadways in the required de-icing zone except under extraordinary circumstance. Approved de-icer means a magnesium chloride product with a lignin-based corrosion inhibitor. If a substitute de-icer was to be used in the future, it would have to be approved by the City Public Works Department and the Missoula City County Air Pollution Control Board. The area of the regulation that we're talking about specifically is that area of the city of Missoula, bounded on the north by the northern edge of Interstate 90 and bounded on the south by the southern edge of the right-of-way of Southwest 39th and Southwest Higgins, and includes Van Buren Street up in the Rattlesnake, inside the city limits. Sanding materials could be used when the temperature is below 0 degrees, and in those circumstances where a police officer calls for sanding materials or where it's unsafe or the ice is too thick to use this product properly. Okay. We've gone through a substantial amount of calculations. This ordinance would apply to about 162 miles of roadway and hundreds of thousands of miles of vehicle traffic throughout the winter. It would result, based on EPA calculations, in about a 31.2 microgram reduction on the worst days that we have in Missoula. It's the Health Department's estimate, because of EPA's algorithms, that the real reduction will be on the order of about 16 micrograms. There's 3 issues that have been addressed by the advisory councils. Perhaps the one that's received the most attention in Missoula is the issue of corrosion. There is no standard method for calculating the impact of de-icing materials on metal components of cars. However, the health department has made calculations using different assumptions, and others have also made calculations. The first 2 methods have been conducted by the health department, where we're looking at the corrosive rate of a particular product times the tons of material that's going on the roads. It appears that based on our calculations, and we've standardized these all to 100%, so they're easy to understand, the sodium chloride, which makes up 5% of the sanding material that currently goes down on the streets, and is in an amount equal to approximately 100 tons per year. If that's 100%, or the number 100 in terms of corrosion, the freeze guard should be about 67 in comparison. So using this method, it's about 33% less corrosive. If we look at subtracting the amount of corrosion that occurs naturally from the snow and water on the streets in winter, we get a result of about 71% less corrosive than what's going on the streets at the present time. And Dr. Wayne Van Meter has used another method of calculation, and in his calculation, the freeze guard is approximately 57% less corrosive. In all instances, though, the product that's being proposed is less corrosive than the material that we're currently putting on the streets. With regard to water pollution, there's a number of items that are important. The lethal dose of sodium chloride is about 3,000 milligrams per kilogram, while the lethal dose of magnesium chloride, which is the principal component of this product, is about 3 times higher in terms of its toxicity. So this product that we'll be using is less toxic than table salt. Replacing the sodium with magnesium-based salts will improve water quality because magnesium is not considered to be of health consequence. Of course, sodium, once it gets into the groundwater and water systems, has adverse impacts on human health, particularly with regard to blood pressure, and has some other adverse impacts with regard to wildlife. The replacement of sodium chloride with magnesium chloride will double the introduction of chloride ions on a mole per mole basis to groundwaters, and because we're using a lot more of this product, there'll be about a 6-time increase in chlorides. However, based on the very high standard that we have for chlorides in drinking water, we don't expect this to be a problem. There's approximately 1.2 billion gallons per year dilution in the aquifer, and the chloride standard for drinking water is very high. In years past, when the State Highway Department used 100% salts on the streets, going back through the analysis of public water supplies, we saw no significant change in the chloride levels in groundwater. So we don't anticipate this product will cause us problems from that standpoint. The corrosion inhibitor that's being used in this product is a white paper mill byproduct. It doesn't come from Stone Container, which is a craft mill, but it doesn't contain chlorinated organics, which has been a concern of a number of citizens. The replacement of the sodium ions with magnesium ions in the salt will have a positive impact on soils and plants. Sodium is treated as a toxin with regard to plant uptake. It also causes soils to break down with regard to their structure, particularly in the clay components, and magnesium doesn't have this effect and is considered to be a secondary plant nutrient. And the application of freeze guard plus PCI in areas where runoff into surface waters isn't expected or is not expected to be more of a problem than the sodium chloride and silt runoff that currently occurs as a result of sanding material. In conclusion, the City County Health Department, the Board of Health, the Air Pollution Advisory Council, and the Water Pollution Advisory Council have recommended going ahead with the proposed ordinance based on its lessened impact on water quality, corrosion, and its beneficial impact on air quality. They have, however, recommended that 2 things be done in the future, and those 2 things are to determine the contribution of various sources in the valley to particulate in the future using chemical mass balance source apportionment methods, a similar process to what we conducted in 1986, to determine in the future what the sources of air pollution in the valley are so that we can perhaps further control them and understand them. And secondly, to determine by doing studies in street sumps the impact of De-Icer materials and other street runoff on the Missoula aquifer. That's the conclusion of my presentation. We're asking for a resolution of concurrence so that the City County Board of Health can go ahead and hold public hearings on this issue. Then it will be referred to the county commissioners, which can either veto the regulation or sign it into law. Eventually, we'll be coming back to the City Council for approval of the SIP. However, we're coming here to you tonight because of the SIP approval process won't bring this regulation to the city council until it's already enacted in law, and we want the concurrence of the city council to go ahead with this project. We know it will have substantial economic impact on the city into the future, and the SIP, of course, will eventually become federal law because of the wording in the Clean Air Act, and it will be very difficult to back out of this process once we go down this road. Are there any questions?
Any questions of the council to Jim? Mr. Rice.
Jim, the calculations that you gave us on the impacts, I believe it's on your second or third sheet, were based on a 5% sodium chloride concentration in existing sanding materials. Is that not correct?
Actually, they were based on 3% sodium chloride and 3% PCI plus freeze guard.
Okay, so the application of the PCI freeze guard will be at 3%?
Well, it'll be, if you will, at
It'll be at 100%.
nearly
right?
100%, and the salt goes down at 100% too in the sand. But those calculations all took into account the tonnage of material, both products going down.
Okay,
so they should be comparable.
Okay, the question is, will we be using the same tonnage of sodium or of the PCI freeze guard as we would use of sodium chloride?
No, you'll be using about 3 times more of the product.
So, in other words, can we presume that if we were to take the least optimistic figure there, which was 67%, that we would actually be tripling it? The impact and the corrosive effect?
All of those calculations take into account the fact that there'll be 3 times more. If you calculated it on a 1-to-1 basis without taking a tonnage into account, this product would appear much, much more desirable than the material we're using now.
I realize that there's always going to be a problem with modeling. The concern I have here, and it's going to come up eventually anyway, so we might as well just say it. The freeze guard is in roughly a liquid form, whereas the rock salt, and the sanding material are basically in a solid form. I don't know whether that makes them any less likely to end up in the undercarriage of automobiles, bicycles, what have you. But it certainly seems reasonable to expect that you will have a liquid substance being washed through your wheel wells, for example, in an automobile, which will, if not increase the corrosive effect, at least increase the opportunity for corrosion to occur. Was that factored in any way into your modeling?
Well, the comparison in terms of tonnage was on a dry basis. Dry basis is salt versus the dry components of the brine that'll be put down. The assumption is that both of them end up as a brine shortly after they're applied, particularly the normal table salt. Because
so the model presumes the liquefaction occurs relatively quickly then?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Shaffer.
As you were finishing your demonstration, you said that it would be hard to go back once we went down this road. I think that was an unintended pun, but that's not what I wanted to ask you about. Why would it be difficult to go back to salt if for some financial reasons or other reasons of any kind we found this program was not working?
The SIP, essentially under the Clean Air Act, becomes federally enforceable law. Once it's approved by the City County Board of Health and the county commissioners and the City Council as units of local government, then it goes on to the State Department of Health for approval, to the governor for signature, and then to EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, for approval. At the point when EPA approves the SIP, that plan, all those enforceable strategies in the plan essentially become federally enforceable law. And to make changes in those, you would have to find substitutes that are able to show you continuing in attainment. And in order to go back through that process and change the SIP, it's just not a matter of changing an ordinance locally. It's a matter of going back through that entire process and finding an equivalent substitute.
Thank you.
Elaine?
Jim, at committee, you mentioned that there were some trace elements in freeze guard. Is there arsenic in this product?
Yes, there is.
Can you tell us exactly what the limits are for the federal standards and what the amount is in here? I must have missed that.
There is freeze guard, right, or arsenic right at detection limits. However, the amount of arsenic present is not very much higher than what you would typically find in background soils throughout the western United States. Also, it would not be in a form that would be likely to cause problems in the groundwater because of the solubility and ion exchange, and it would act similarly to soils which contain small amounts of arsenic with regard to its impact on water or drinking water. There's, trace elements of all compounds in the soils throughout the world.
Just to follow up on that, then, you feel this is not harmful to have these trace elements of arsenic in the water, for example? It doesn't contaminate it?
No, it would be similar to perhaps 3 times more concentrated than the normal soils that we have around Missoula in terms of the arsenic concentration, and not considered to be of concern with regard to its impacts on water or groundwater.
Mr. Harrison.
I just had one question on your additional recommendations. You mentioned we probably need to perform or facilitate studies that would determine the impacts of this product on air and water. I probably agree with that. I just wondered if you have a price range you're thinking of, or...
It's our estimate that another air quality study would cost on the order of about $20,000. We don't have to go back through the fingerprinting process except with regard to the material that comes off the streets, and with regard to the impacts on water, we haven't made any estimates, but I would guess somewhere on the order, and this is a guess, on the order of about $10,000 for a study if it were done by a graduate student as a thesis process. The air quality aspect of it, 50% of it could be paid by the Air Quality Bureau, and we've discussed that with them, and they seemed amenable to that process.
Further questions? If not, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Next is items for final consideration. First being from the Economic Development Committee. Mr. Rice.
This has to do with an application, actually a pre-application and an application to the Department of Commerce for a CDBG grant. Although quorum was not present, the committee recommends that the City Council adopt and authorize the mayor to sign a resolution entitled "A Resolution of the Missoula City Council Authorizing the Mayor to Submit an Application for $193,000 in Economic Development Community Development Block Grants to provide economic assistance to ensure the continued operation and growth of Rawlings Construction through a low-interest loan and for the administration of the grant," and I would so move.
Discussion? Mr. Luceno.
I just have one brief comment. I think this is a refreshing request. That is to say that this money would be used for a local business who is all about jobs, and it's nice that these jobs are not service jobs but rather production-oriented jobs. I think as the days ahead offer us possibilities of decreasing production sector jobs, namely in the wood products industry, it bodes well for Missoula that we're thinking about supplementing and adding to our production-based employment. And so I would like to commend this request.
Further discussion? If not, roll call.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hermes.
Yes.
Luceno.
Yes.
Potts. Yes. Reidy.
Yes.
Rice.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Shaffer.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
10-0.
Okay, next is from Finance and License Committee, Mr. Reidy.
Yes, the first item, the committee recommends the council adopt a resolution to levy a special assessment and tax upon all properties situated within Special Improvement District number 492, aka 492A, of the City of Missoula, Montana, to defray the cost of making improvements in Special Improvement Districts pursuant to the resolution number 5193, creating said district, and I so move.
Discussion. Roll call.
Hermes.
Yes.
Luceno.
Yes.
Potts. Reidy.
Yes.
Rice. Sampson.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Shea. Wood. Harrison.
Yes.
10-0.
Next item also from Finance and License.
Yes, the next one, the committee recommends the council adopt a resolution to levy a special assessment and tax all property situated within Special District number 496 of the City of Missoula, Montana, to defray the cost of making the improvements in Special Improvement District pursuant to resolution number 5171, creating such district, and I so move.
Discussion. Roll call.
Luceno.
Yes.
Potts. Reidy.
Yes.
Rice. Sampson.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Shea. Wood. Harrison.
Yes.
Hermes.
Yes.
10-0.
Next item also from Finance and License.
Yes. The committee recommends the council adopt a resolution to levy a special assessment and tax upon all properties situated within Special Improvement District number 499 of the City of Missoula, Montana, to defray the cost of making the improvements in Special Improvement District pursuant to the resolution number 5166, creating said district, and I so move.
Discussion. Roll call.
Potts. Reidy.
Yes.
Rice. Sampson.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Shea. Wood.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hermes.
Yes.
Luceno.
Yes.
10-0.
Next is from Planning, Annexation, and Zoning Committee. Ms. Shea.
This is the Hurt First Edition preliminary plat. The committee recommends that the council approve the preliminary plat for the Hurt First Edition subject to the following conditions. Number 1, sanitary restrictions be lifted by state and local health authorities. Number 2, grading, drainage, erosion control, street and sidewalk plans shall be approved by the city engineer's office. 3, there shall be a 1-foot no-access strip along South 7th Street West for the frontage of lots 1 and 17, so that all lots access onto Lynn Lane. 4, approach permits shall be applied for by all lot owners that access onto the public right-of-way. 5, the developer shall provide easements for utilities in the appropriate areas. 6, developer shall construct a footbridge over the irrigation ditch in line with the walkway easement at the head of the cul-de-sac on Lynn Lane. Bridge construction shall be approved by Missoula Irrigation Ditch Company, the city parks director, and the county bridge engineer. 7, the developer shall give cash in lieu of parkland to satisfy the parkland requirement. 8, the developer shall include a statement on the plat and each instrument of conveyance which states that acceptance of a deed for a lot within the subdivision shall constitute the assent of the owners to any future SID, RSDID to upgrade South 7th Street West and may be used in lieu of their signatures on an SID, RSID petition. Number 9, the mailboxes shall be in cluster form and shall be placed in such a way so as not to encroach upon the sidewalk. No other utility poles or street signs, etc., will be placed within the sidewalk area, allowing a 4-foot clear area. 10, the conveyance shall bear the certification of the attorney who prepared or reviewed them, that such attorney is licensed to practice law in the state of Montana, and further provisions required by the Missoula County subdivision regulations and other provision upon which plat approval was based or conditioned do not conflict. 11, a 3-foot high chain link fence shall be constructed on the southern portion of the property adjacent to Missoula Irrigation Ditch. 12, fire hydrant locations shall be approved by the fire chief. Additionally, the committee recommends the council approve the variance from section 3-28C right-of-way width. The reason given for this request is that property is too narrow to permit a 54-foot right-of-way and have developable lots on each side. The street width will meet the subdivision requirements of 32 feet back-to-back of curb. The city engineer previously stated when the property was reviewed for its zoning compliance permit that this was adequate. City Council approved the zoning compliance permit for the construction of 17 homes on May 21st, 1991. The project is currently under construction and is close to completion. Subject to these conditions and based on the findings of fact, the Hurt First Edition is recommended to be declared in the public interest, and I so move.
Discussion. Mr. Rice.
I presume that item 8 is RSID, not RSDID. Chuck says yes, so Elaine, would you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Further discussion. Roll call.
Reidy.
Yes.
Rice. Sampson.
Yes.
Shaffer.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Wood. Harrison.
Yes.
Hermes.
Yes.
Luceno. Potts.
Yes.
One clarification. Donna, did you vote yes or pass?
Yes.
Yes, okay. There are 3 passes. Would the passes care to change their vote beginning with Rice?
No change.
Wood.
No change.
Luceno.
No change.
Motion carries.
Next item also on plating, annexation, and zoning.
An ordinance to generally revise and enact new land use fees for services provided by the Missoula Office of Community Development. Although a quorum was not present, the committee recommends that council pass an ordinance to generally revise and enact new land use fees for services provided by the Missoula Office of Community Development, and I so move.
Discussion. Roll call.
Rice. Yes. Sampson.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hermes.
Yes.
Luceno.
Yes.
Potts.
Yes.
Reidy.
Yes.
10-0.
That is the end of the final consideration. The next is public comments from the citizens. And this is for citizens who wish to comment on things that are not on for public hearing tonight. Mr. Indrelli.
President Sampson, I have a prepared personal statement that I'd like to make tonight, and I have a copy that I will give to Chuck when I'm finished here. I'll try my best to keep it at 3 minutes. It might be 30 seconds longer.
Chris, we need to have you identify your name and address.
I will. President Sampson and members of the council, for the record, my name is Chris Gingarelli, and I live at 321 Daly Avenue. I am currently Vice Chair of Missoula City County Board of Health and Air Pollution Control Board, and have been a member of these boards for the past 5 years. Prior to that, I served as a member and chair of the Missoula Air Pollution Advisory Council. I'm also a member of the Clark Fork Coalition. Professionally, I am a health educator, and as you know, in January, I'll be joining you as a member of this council from Ward 3, and I'm really looking forward to that very much. I'm here tonight as a longtime advocate of clean air and water in Missoula, and to express my conditional support for the use of liquid de-icer on Missoula streets in place of the currently used sanding material. Also to express my concerns about industry funding of this proposal, and to urge the city to participate in further studies of de-icer from both air and water quality standpoints. Last spring, I initiated and chaired the Missoula Air Quality Public Opinion Survey, which asked Missoula residents by means of a random telephone survey how they felt about air quality here. And by the way, I'd be glad to make a copy of that survey available to any council member that would like to see it. This survey was approved and commissioned by the City County Air Pollution Control Board, conducted by the University of Montana Sociology Department, and funded by the Missoula City County Health Department. Survey questions covered public perceptions of all main sources of pollution in the Missoula airshed: wood smoke, auto exhaust, road dust, and industrial emissions. The results produced a clear public mandate for clean air. Over 86% felt, quote, Missoula needs to do more to reduce air pollution. Mandate level responses, which are those categorized as over 66%, were given for cleaning up all 4 sources of pollution, With respect to road dust specifically, 74% of the public agreed that, quote, Missoula should take stronger action to reduce pollution from street sanding material. During the past month, the Health Department environmental health staff, the Air and Water Quality Advisory Councils, and the Health and Air Pollution Control Boards have studied this proposal to switch to De-Icer. All concerned have recommended the proposed switch, with the additional recommendation to, quote, further evaluate the impacts of De-Icer on both air and water quality. It's this issue of further study that I urge the Council to include tonight in its decision to use De-Icer on city streets. I believe the reasons for this study are twofold. Number one, this study would provide the city and the health department with valuable information regarding the De-Icer's effectiveness or lack of it in reducing particulate pollution, so that after industry funding runs out after 4 years, the city can make an informed decision regarding its continued use. Number two, the city's acceptance of this seed money, and I'd like to make this clear that this is my personal perception. The city's acceptance of this seed money from industry in the first place creates what is at best an unusual precedent: the potential creation of a less clear relationship between industrial polluters and those governmental agencies charged with protecting public health. Citing the Missoula Air Quality Public Opinion Survey again, 71% of Missoulians felt that, quote, industrial pollution needs to be further reduced in the Missoula area, and that while, quote, individuals feel it important for them to modify their own behavior with regard to improving air quality, they feel that industry and organizations should make the same effort, unquote. Finally, if the city feels it cannot find other means of funding the De-Icer material itself, then at the very least, a commitment to fund the study of its effects is prudent and in the best interests of the public trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next from the public, Mr. Ammons.
President Sampson and council members, my name is Bruce Ammons. I live at 648 West Crestline Drive. I've been chairman of the Air Pollution Control Advisory Council for the last couple of years. I came tonight simply to reinforce the idea that we're firmly behind the use of the De-Icer after having studied all the data we could get a hold of in the last month or so. As a part of the proposed rule changes that we helped draft, we had suggested strongly that funding be made available for a study of the effects of the De-Icer on air quality and water quality in the Missoula Valley. And as a part of that, that this would include a chemical mass balance source apportionment study, as was last done in 1986, since that's really our sole source of information about the relative amounts of pollution coming from important sources in the valley. As a council, we hear all the time from neighbors and from people on the street who know that we're members of the council, that concerns about pollution in the air in the valley, and a lot of misinformation about just how great each source of pollution is. A study such as this CMB study would allow us data of the sort that Jim Carlson showed you to begin his presentation tonight, which is very definite as to the source, since these sources have been fingerprinted at that point chemically, and there's no question about the relative contributions they make to dirtying our air. We realize that probably from a lot of standpoints that question of funding couldn't be included in the rule itself, or wouldn't be included in the rule itself, but we would like to strongly request that the City Council and, of course, the County Commissioners make an effort to find funding for such studies. When I checked into what sort of data was available from other cities as to the use of this De-Icer, and specifically looked at some of the cities that might be comparable to Missoula. It was real clear that there is very little data available other than from the companies themselves. And that's a little scary to those of us who've had any sort of scientific background and training. I think that given how unique Missoula is as an airshed with mountains all around us, and as Jim sort of pointed out in a tangential way when he was talking about the various different figures he could come up with for the amount of improvement in the air, the EPA models for what happens to the air here with changes in various levels of pollutants is shaky at best, because we are in a fairly unique situation here, both in terms of our topography here and also our weather. So we would really strongly recommend that somehow you smart folks here help us, help the people in Missoula find a way to fund a proper study, further study of the air. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ammons. Further from the public.
Good evening, Council President Sampson. I'm Randy Ammon, 257 South Easy Street in Missoula, Executive Director of MCAT, Missoula Community Access Television. And real quickly, I just wanted to point out a total of 5 of at least 26 new programs that will be running on MCAT this week of possible potential interest with the election coming up. Tomorrow evening, Tuesday night, for those watching MCAT's videotaped replay of this meeting, at 7:30, the League of Women Voters is producing a debate on the ballot initiative for a sports complex that will be live from council chambers at 7:30 Tuesday night, with the replay Wednesday, October 30th at 10 p.m. Also on Wednesday is the premiere of a live call-in program entitled Labor Vision, a series dealing with labor issues. That will be live 7:30 Wednesday evening, with the replay 2 p.m. Thursday afternoon. I'm sorry, it's live Wednesday evening at 7:30, and that will be a regular program the third Wednesday of each month. Our labor unions have gotten very active on the channel. Next Monday, November 4th, there are 3 programs, one at 1:30 p.m. in the Montana After Hours series produced by Michael Marsalik in conjunction with KUFM on Missoula's pesticide ordinance. Then at 7:04 p.m., again Monday, November 4th, a program entitled Curtis Horton for Ward 5, the candidate for City Council Ward 5, speaking on ideals, goals, the environment, and freedom of speech. And then at 7:10 p.m., Monday, November 4th, in the Your Environment series, an overview of pesticides presented by Missoulians for Clean Environment. Again, just some special programs I wanted you to be aware of, all very valid community uses of the facility and the equipment at MCAT. And again, we encourage everyone, every resident of Missoula, to make use of the facilities and the equipment and the channel time that are provided. And we've been delighted with the turnout we've got from citizens producing programs. I appreciate the folks in the room tonight that participated in the very successful conference of last month. Are there any questions I could answer at this point? Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments from the public?
Hi, I'm Nancy Trimp. I live at 81 Arrowhead in Ward 5. I'm here tonight to address a very serious problem, and I feel that the City Council public comment period is a good time for this. I'm sorry that Larry McLaughlin isn't here tonight, because this is addressed to him. We're passing out copies of a letter that I have sent to the State Human Rights Commission. In it, it says that I'm employed at Eddie's Bakery for 3.5 years. My supervisor is Larry McLaughlin. In the spring of '89, he approached my coworker, Sherry Smolinski, and myself about annexation.
The city was in the process of having residents in our area sign contracts for sewer and annexation. Larry McLaughlin approached us at that time at work and told us if we didn't sign these contracts, we would lose our jobs. His conduct towards us at that resulted in fear and intimidation on our part. I just think that this needs to be aired right now. I think it does. And thank you, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them the best of my ability.
Thank you. Further comments from the public?
My name is Lorene Folsom. My address is Box 9225, Missoula. Many of you will remember that on the evening of August 19th, before Mayor Kemmis cast the swing vote to place the pesticide warning ordinance on the November 5th ballot, I warned that the pesticide industry would fight this proposed ordinance with large amounts of money. Well, that's exactly what is happening. Probably the most disappointing part of this fight is that all of the money is coming from outside the Missoula community, save for one Missoula business. Not one Missoula homeowner has given money to the ads we've been seeing on TV. Thousands of dollars have come from outside of Missoula to fight our efforts to provide a safe environment for our children, our pets, for those of us with respiratory problems, allergies, and asthma, with systems weakened by illness and aging, and indeed for the safety of us all. At that August meeting, Mr. McLaughlin smugly questioned me about my doubting the capability of Missoula citizens to make the right choice. It was the case then, and still remains so, that advertising works. If it didn't, we as a nation would not spend billions of dollars annually on advertising endeavors. It appeared that Mr. Harrison readily, and I hope naively, proposed last-minute industry amendments to that August 19th council meeting, amendments which did not go through the committee process. Many were adopted by the council. The industry sat on all conservation committee meetings preparing the ordinance, and many provisions were placed in the ordinance to make the job of industry easier. That industry is now fighting our attempts at self-protection with misleading advertising. The advertising focuses on the emotional plea that we like our neighbors and wouldn't want them to get in trouble, that we can deal with the situation on a neighbor-to-neighbor basis. Those who planned the ads were well aware that notifying neighbors in our immediate vicinity of our intention to apply pesticides does not protect the child, the expectant mother, the asthmatic, emphysemic, allergy-ridden, ill, or small pet from being exposed as they pass by our property. In addition, the ads focus on a $100 fine. They don't tell you that up to $100 may be levied by a judge upon the third violation. We might compare this portion of the proposed ordinance with our wood-burning restriction during air pollution alerts. That particular ordinance has no warning, but graduates from a $25 fine for the first violation to a $100 fine for the third violation. Both ordinances are designed to protect the health of Missoula citizens. I would submit that warning signs notifying folks that poisons have been applied in the vicinity are equally as important as not burning during air pollution alerts, so that we can continue to breathe the air with some margin of safety. Yes, and we must remember that we are dealing with poisons, substances that kill. The smaller the organism, the greater the chance of harmful effects. Thus, your child, born or unborn, and your small pets are in greatest immediate danger. We are just beginning to acknowledge as a nation the effects of long-term exposure to the rest of the population. A couple of final points. The sign size required, should voters decide to vote yes at the polls, will be 80 square inches. While that may sound big, it is about the size of an ordinary piece of writing paper. In addition, signs will be readily available in numerous locations around Missoula and will be of very low cost or possibly even free. Also, the ordinance provides for a 50 square foot exemption. Thus, one could dust roses or treat an infested bush without posting a sign. Please cast a vote on Tuesday, November 5th for the Missoula pesticide warning sign ordinance and for the health of our citizens. Let's make ourselves a proud, progressive community that is willing to go to a little extra effort to protect our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments from the public? 3 minutes, please.
Certainly, Mr. Sampson, thank you. My name is Will Snodgrass. I'm here tonight as spokesman for Missoulians for a Clean Environment. My address is P.O. Box 2885, Missoula, Montana. I do live within the city limits. I planned on coming here tonight to address comments made last week about the television advertising, which was done by the Missoula Coalition for the Right to Know Pesticide Ordinance. At that time, last week, I attempted to communicate our fears which have been realized, those fears being that the pesticide industry itself is now spending a large amount of money in Missoula on a very sophisticated advertising campaign, a campaign which was built upon an extensive telephone survey which began around the 26th of September in Missoula. Mr. McLaughlin at that time said, Will, have you not produced a television ad yourself? And I said, yes, I have. And I'd like to clarify that. I shot the ad, I edited the ad for the coalition. In that sense, I produced the ad. But that ad was produced by Missoula citizens who paid the huge sum of $225 on commercial television to reach Missoula citizens. I am amazed that Mr. McLaughlin is unable to see the huge disparity between the amount of money available to local citizens who are attempting to protect their children and their grandparents, and the amount of money available to industry. You've just heard that there have been very few local contributors to the anti-sign work here. There is one local contributor. That is Ted Marchie from Marchie's Nursery. There are no homeowners on the list that I know of, the contributors list. Mr. Marchie, for the record, as late as this summer, was still using a product called Trimec, a three-way herbicide which contains dicamba, which is a very potent groundwater contaminant. It's been known to be a groundwater contaminant for some time. The group sponsoring the ads that you see on television and here on the radio, for those of you who are unable to read the disclaimer on the television screen, and I've yet to find anyone who can, is called the Missoula Homeowners Yard and Garden Professionals and Suppliers. They are funded by the Montana Agribusiness Association, which is funded by the pesticide industry. In closing, I would like to repeat a phrase that was a word that was used time and again in the public hearings and in the committee. That word is neurotoxic. That's the medical term for damage to the nervous system. The lay phrase for that is nerve poison. Nerve poison.
You've now used 3.5 minutes.
Thank you, Al.
Further comments from the public? If not, we will go on to the next item, which is communications from the mayor. I believe I'll take this opportunity to speak to the council about something that I would have probably should be speaking to him as president of the council, and that is the public hearing process. The public hearing process that we have set up is so that the public may express their views on certain subjects that we have set up, and should not be used as a question and answer period by the council unless it needs to be done to clarify what the public has said. I think we have ended up by doing a great deal of committee business on the floor of the public hearings and extending our meetings beyond what they should be extended at. And so I would hope that in the future we manage to do that a little more expeditiously. Yes?
Did I miss the public comment period? I just got here.
We will, without objection, we will back off to the public comment. If you wish to make public comment, why please step forward.
I just want 1 minute.
Please step forward, state your name and address, and
My name
you
is
have
Barry.
up to 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Barry Adams. I'm box 8574, Missoula, Montana. And I just came from a meeting up at the University of Montana rooms from, it's called Proposition 1. It's to, and there'll be another one at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. And I just want to invite the City Council and people of Missoula and people in the state of Montana. Proposition 1 is a statewide voter initiative to ban nuclear weapons and to use our resources in a peace way. And there's a fellow named Scott Galindez from Peace Park, Washington, D.C., across from the White House, who's here. And he's to propose this initiative around the country. And it's going to be at the UC Montana rooms Tuesday, October 29th at 7 p.m. And I just wanted to thank you all for letting me say that.
Thank you. Next item is consent agenda.
There are 6 items on the consent agenda. The first is to set additional public hearing for November 4th, 1991 on an ordinance amending Chapters 9.62 Missoula Municipal Code entitled Discharging Weapons by amending Section 9.62.030 Missoula Municipal Code, making it unlawful for any person to commit the offense of disorderly conduct by knowingly disturbing the peace pursuant to the discharge of a firearm within 3 miles of the city limits in certain designated areas for purposes of excluding the exception for shotguns for bird hunting purposes within the Bitterroot River bottom near McClay's Bridge, and to create an exception for special deer shotgun hunts for deer damaging crops. Second, set public hearing for November 4th, 1991 on proposed ordinance amending Chapter 5.44 of the Missoula Municipal Code pertaining to ambulances. Third, approve Duffy Kester as captain in fire department. Fourth, approve Bradley G. Engdahl as lieutenant in the fire department. Fifth, approve Jerome C. Kaler as training officer in the fire department. Sixth, award contract to Binkard Construction for the amount of $18,496.00 for construction of SID 497/498 Southwest Missoula Sanitary Sewer System Phase 2, 1991, Wapakia Line W16, and return bid bond to the unsuccessful bidder.
Are there any items on the consent agenda any member of the council would like to remand back to the committee reports? Mr. Hermes.
I'd like to put number 1 back in committee reports.
Number 1 back to committee. Or back to the, it would go back to the...
Just under committee report.
Back to the committee of business, the committee report. Anything else that would like to be removed from the consent agenda or back to the committee? If not, call the roll, please.
On the consent agenda with 5 items. Sampson.
Yes.
Shaffer.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hermes.
Yes.
Luceno.
Yes.
Potts.
Yes.
Reidy.
Yes.
Rice.
Yes.
10-0.
Okay. Committee reports. Conservation.
There is my recollection and the minutes reflect there was nothing for consideration. There is a memo on your desk, however, about item number 1, and I hope that everybody will take a look at particularly the representatives of Ward 4 who are immediately affected by this. Mr. Mullendore has responded, and I believe, Jim, you have written a response as well to that letter. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
And a report.
Okay, Economic Development Committee. Anything other than what was under
There is nothing to report.
Finance and License. Mr. Reidy.
Yes, first, the committee recommends the council direct the staff to begin the tax deed process on 11 lots in Fellowship Heights by adopting a resolution to withdraw the SID 460 and 463 assessments from the county treasurer's office, and I so move.
This being a resolution, is there any comments from the public? If not, roll call, or comments from the council. If not, roll call.
One clarification in the minutes, Al was asking at the committee meeting how much the city would have to pay out, and I reported at that time I was saying approximately 46,000. I had a chance over the weekend and today to calculate that better, and it's only about 36,000. The one lot that I had calculated before the committee meeting was actually the most expensive lot and was not a good sample to use for the basis of the estimation, but the actual amount.
And of that, we would receive our portion of the overall tax?
No, that's after.
That's taking that into consideration?
Yeah, that's after. That's what we would pay out in direct costs. Okay, on the resolution, Shaffer.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hermes.
Yes.
Luceno.
Yes.
Potts.
Yes.
Reidy.
Yes.
Rice.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
10-0.
Next one, journal vouchers. The committee recommends the council adopt a resolution approving journal vouchers number JV 92-5T, JV 92-6T, JV 92-14F, JV 92-15F, JV 92-16F, and authorizing the transfer of any funds required by said journal vouchers, and I so move.
Any comments from the public? This is being a resolution. If not, comments from the council? Roll call.
Shea.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hermes.
Yes.
Luceno.
Yes.
Potts.
Yes.
Reidy.
Yes.
Rice.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
10-0.
And the last one, claims. The committee recommends the council approve claims totaling $76,428.76, and I so move.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, judicial review.
Number one is back on the agenda. The committee recommends that the city council schedule an additional public hearing for November 4th, 1991 at the regular scheduled city council meeting for an ordinance amending chapter 9.62 Missoula Municipal Code entitled Discharging Weapons by amending section 9.62.030 MMC, making it unlawful for any person to commit the offense of disorderly conduct by knowingly disturbing the peace pursuant to the discharge of a firearm within the 3 miles of the city limit in certain designated areas for purposes of excluding the exception for shotguns for bird hunting processes within the Bitterroot River bottoms near McClay Bridge, and to create an exception for special deer shotgun hunts for deer damaging crops, and I would speak to that.
Mr. Reidy.
I think I can answer Mr. Hermes' question right now. The reason we did this is because some people showed up, Mike Beckwith and his wife, that said they weren't notified, and into the interest of all people having a chance to talk on this, we decided to extend the public hearing.
That basically answers it. Is there a way that we can let all the people in that area know through a notice or such?
We did before. I guess I would ask the clerk maybe to send a notification to all the people we have on record of appearing on the last public hearing. Henry Alice Austin, and I think there were some other interested parties there. That should, along with this extension of the public hearing, should advise most of the people of it, I believe. Further comments? Not all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
This is to set public hearing, or to extend the public hearing, set additional public hearing. The nays? The ayes have it, so ordered. Next, continue
Yeah, I have one more. Committee recommends that the council approve a motion to adopt the resolution. Well, this is the resolution to the United Healthcare Workers Local 427. The committee recommends that the council approve a motion to adopt the resolution as amended by the committee. The committee, on recommendation, and Mr. Wood took out the last whereas, recognizing that workers from 2 other Sage facility, Village Senior Residence and Hillside Healthcare, attempted to obtain bargaining units at these facilities, and that the workers both have had unfair labor practices. We felt that by taking this out, it would be more palatable to the whole council.
This being a resolution, we're ready for comment from the public. Who from the public would like to step forward and speak on this particular item? Name and address, please.
Okay. My name is Janet Robidoux. I live at 602 South 6th Street West. I am the president of the Montana Coalition for Nursing Home Reform. Our coalition is concerned about the quality of care being delivered in Missoula nursing homes. We want to ensure that the amount of dollars it takes to live in these nursing homes, that these people should be entitled to the best care possible. Our community needs to be aware of the plight of nursing home workers. Hard work, low pay, no benefits, and yet these people are taking care of your mothers, your fathers, your grandfathers, your grandmothers, etc. They receive very little compensation for the tremendous amount of work that they put out. I speak from experience. I am a certified nursing assistant. These workers are treated with less than dignity and respect because they are on the bottom rung of the health worker hierarchy. These workers deal with human beings. They are entrusted to the caring of individuals, and yet the wages they make does little more than keep them at poverty level. As I said before, I am a certified nursing assistant. I started at $4.35 an hour. I got a dime at the first of the year, and then 15 cents annually after that. My daughter works at McDonald's, and having worked there 3 months flipping hamburgers, got a 30-cent raise, more than I make in a whole year, a larger raise than I get. Our Montana Coalition for Nursing Home Reform asks that you please pass this resolution to support the Hillside workers, so that they can get a better contract, and that therefore these workers can be assured of decent wages and benefits. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Please try not to be repetitious if you can.
My name is Brent Fay. I'm at 2428 South 9th West. I am a professional, registered, and certified nursing assistant. I belong to the United Healthcare Workers Union Local 427. I am employed at Hillside Manor. Certified nursing assistants, housekeepers, laundry, and dietary assistants live below the federally defined poverty levels. When I was thinking about coming here tonight, I called a lot of nursing homes in different towns and cities here in Montana. This is what I found. That in Whitefish, Kalispell, Big Fork, Hot Springs, and in Hamilton, nursing home employees make anywhere from 10 cents to $1.72 per hour more than people who work at Hillside. Sage owns 3 out of 4 of Missoula's nursing homes, and they do have a monopoly. They set the tone for how much nursing home workers make in wages here in Missoula. That's why we make less than the other nursing homes that I called today. If we have better wages, then there will be enough staff to care for the residents' needs more efficiently and effectively. I recently saw an interview with a woman named Catherine Bates. She's from the People for Better Nursing Home Care. She said that if someone is so greedy that they take the little pleasure of life that's left in an elderly person, for $1 to be put in their pocket, I can't think of anything that is lower. And the only excuse for patient neglect is profiteering on part of the owners. I don't believe in cutting care to cut costs. That's why I'm asking the City Council to pass this resolution to support the Hillside workers. Thank you. And I also have a comparison of nursing home workers' wages and benefits I would like the City Council members to see.
You may pass them out. Further comments from the public?
Hi, my name is Shauna Tatro, and I live at 2227 Kensington, and I'm a housekeeper at the nursing home Hillside Manor. I really disagree on the wages that we are earning. and we are not I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
Take your time.
Because it's very hard to live on what we earn. I earn like $150 a week, and like every 2 weeks, I earn $300 or less. And I can't really afford any insurance. Mostly it's spent on my rent and my utilities, and it's very hard for me to spend some of it on food. I even have a roommate that helps me. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments?
My name is Eunice Crane. I live at 1501 South 11th Street. I am here to back these Hillside Manor girls' noise because they really do need help, and I'm here for the local restaurants and bartenders. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Bruce Morris. I'm here representing the United Brotherhood of Carpenters, Local 28 in Missoula. I believe workers are the bedrock of a healthy economy, and I would encourage you to pass the resolution before you, and by doing so, support an important segment of Missoula's workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Further comments?
My name is Louis Ball, 6900 Butler Creek. I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of the Missoula Central Labor Council. We submitted this resolution because we believe that these people need our support. They're a very sound foundation in Missoula. They need to make money to pay their bills and to be able to pay taxes. I think any one of them would be real pleased to say they were carrying the share of taxes that they'd like to. On the other side, these nursing homes, in many cases, are owned by out-of-state corporations who take the money, the excess profits, and run. They don't spend much in Missoula. They send it away where it doesn't do our economy any good at all. This motion was passed on October 10th, and we asked for your support. And I know these ladies and gentlemen that work in these establishments would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Further comments?
My name's Jim Parker. I live at 935 Warden. I'm a student at the University of Montana, and I've been working with other community members on this resolution for better care for the elderly here in town. I just wanted to let the council know that the students at the University of Montana, we've been canvassing them and spreading this information, and they've showed overwhelming support in favor of this resolution. In fact, on Wednesday night, the Associated Students, the Senate, will be looking at a similar resolution, and as far as we can tell, we will get overwhelming support on that. So I urge you to join the rest of the community in helping elderly care and caregivers in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comment?
Hello, council members. My name is Rich Doyle. I live at 740 East Front. I enjoy visiting old people and talking to them, and the older the better. But it's going to these nursing homes. I've been going to it's a shame. So I'd like to think I'm speaking for the community tonight in saying that the poor conditions that exist in these nursing homes, especially the ones that are managed by SAGE, it's just a shame to our community. And I hope you support this, what's going on at Hillside, as a step toward providing better care for the elderly. Thank you.
Further comments?
Hi, I'm B.J. Goodmanson, 3304 Grant Street. I'm going to speak on behalf of myself as a person with a grandmother in a nursing home. also as a certified nurse aide at Hillside Manor, as a member of the local 427 United Healthcare Workers, and also as a member of the Montana State Coalition for Nursing Home Reform. I feel this is not a political issue, but an issue of humanities involving all of us regardless of age. We don't object to anyone making a profit. We would just like to make a living wage and have a bit of pride in ourselves for giving quality care to our loved ones. The company we are referring to in the state of Montana with their nursing homes, they netted, and that's clear profit, $2.2 million in the last year. And we feel some of this should trickle down to the workers and be left in our community. This involves all of us. You or I could be injured on our way home tonight and rendered helpless to the point of not being cared for at home and be placed into that environment. And I think we want to make sure the care we get is what we deserve and what we expect. We feel community awareness and support are very important to upgrade the quality care. I'd like to thank you in advance for your unanimous support of this resolution and invite you and your friends and relatives to our Health Care with Dignity Festival on November 3rd. Thank you.
Further comments? If not, comments from the council? Ms. Shea?
I just have a question, and I'm not quite sure who knows this, but maybe you've already said it and I missed it. When I'm looking at this comparison of nursing home workers' wages and benefits, the starting salary, the high end, and I think maybe it's in Billings, it's on the second page, I guess it's Kalispell or Whitefish, is $6.07 an hour for a nursing aide. Can you tell me what the starting wage for that Sage pays in Missoula for the same position?
Please state your name and address again, please.
Brent Fay, 2428 South 9th West, here in Missoula. Okay, I was in the back and I didn't quite catch your question.
Oh, my question was, what's the starting wage? I looked at this comparison. This is very interesting. Thank you for giving us this data.
You're welcome.
The high end is $6.07 for a starting wage for a nursing aide, and that's in Kalispell. I just perused quickly every city. What does Sage pay for starting wage in Missoula for the same position?
For certified nursing assistants, it's $4.35.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions? Mr. Harrison.
I have one question. I'm not really sure who to direct it to, but was anyone from Sage involved in the committee meeting or
Say again, please.
Was anyone from Sage involved in the committee meetings, or I don't hear a other side? That bothers me a little bit.
Doug? No, there were no Sage representatives at the committee hearing.
Then just because I'm not real sure about this, but if somebody from Sage had presented a resolution similar to this, would that have been considered unfair labor practice, or how does that work? I don't know.
No.
It wouldn't. Okay. It does concern me when I hear a lot of one side, and I definitely know that people in these positions work extremely hard. But it does bother me to hear one side and not the whole thing.
Further comments from the council? Roll call.
On the resolution, Wood.
Yes.
Harrison.
Pass.
Hermes.
Pass.
Luceno.
Yes.
Potts.
Yes.
Reidy.
Yes.
Rice.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Shaffer.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Would the passes care to change their vote beginning with Harrison?
No change.
No change. Hermes.
No change.
Motion passes 802.
PAZ, who is reporting PAZ? Elaine, please.
Although a quorum was not present, the committee recommends that council approve the appropriate signatures on all documents pertaining to the adoption of the drug-free workplace program as required by the BPA. And this is the program solicitation post 1991 Northwest Energy Code program. And I so move.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion?
Aye. Now, there's going to be a contract involved in there somewhere. So
roll call.
Okay. Harrison.
Yes.
Hermes.
Yes.
Luceno.
Yes.
Potts.
Yes.
Reidy.
Yes.
Rice.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Shaffer.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
10-0.
Public Safety Committee. All items were under the consent agenda.
Oh, yes, excuse me. All items were under consent.
Public Works Committee.
We have one on the regular agenda, the use of De-Icer on city streets in lieu of sanding materials. PM-10, the state implementation plan changes. The committee recommended that the council implement the use of de-icering materials in accordance with the city-county health department proposal and cooperate with the city-county health department in order to implement the state implementation plan, SIP, and I would so move.
Discussion of the council. Ms. Shea.
Just want to make sure that the council knows that with the passage of this, we are recommending and we are concurring with the county that we are approving the regulation.
Mr. Harrison.
I'm going to vote in favor of this. I do believe the additional recommendations are important, though, with all the efforts being concentrated on keeping the aquifer clean and keeping the air clean and everything. I think it's important that while we have a chance to monitor it and study it, I think we should proceed in that area too. So I'd encourage you that we move ahead in that area too. At least we maybe not be able to set out a funding amount, but to say that we're in favor of doing that, I think we should do that.
Mr. Reidy.
Yes, later on tonight, I'm going to refer back to Public Works that we take into consideration the study and maybe the financing if we can.
Mr. Rice.
In that regard, Mr. Reidy, it might be advantageous to consider a resolution that would support the conducting a study and listing the items that study would include, and I recognize that that's an easy thing for me to say at this point. It's also, I think, an important step for us to take. I understand there may be some issues regarding support from the county to fund such a study. I believe also it is imperative, given what we do know about water quality and air quality in this valley, that we have a responsibility to participate actively, and if the county chooses not to, for whatever reason, participate, I think it is appropriate for us to take the lead. I think we should work towards cooperation, but if we cannot find a cooperative way to do it, I still think we need to take the lead on it.
Mr. Reidy.
As I talked to Chris, and she asked me to refer this, and I thought this would be a starting point to get it into committee. We can go on a resolution from there.
Further discussion. Roll call. All in favor of the motion?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Anything further from Public Works?
No, that's end of the report.
Okay, the next is general comments from the City Council members. 3-minute rule will be generally enforced. We'll start with Ms. Shea.
Just quickly, there's been some concerns about the ditch and the rattlesnake. Many people wish to keep the ditch running, weather permitting. It helps water the trees, it irrigates to some degree, and helps with the vegetation close by. But sometimes the ditch floods, and for example, last week it flooded by Holly and Van Buren. There was a blockage. It was very difficult to reach the irrigation division staff. There was nobody at that number. Public Works Department responded and unclogged the area. One resident in particular, Mrs. Helen Yarborough, whose home faces the ditch, is very concerned about blockage and safety for youngsters. She said the ducts are too small and they're forever getting clogged up. And the ditch is also running late this year. Sometimes a ditch rider comes by to inspect for potential problems, but he's not always accessible. And there's just a lot of questions about how the city works with the irrigation division, and I think we need to work closer with these people in this department and examine the reasons why we still have the ditch and if the ditch is still needed. And a reminder for people, residents of the Rattlesnake Valley, that the City of Missoula has scheduled a meeting to discuss sanitary sewer for unsewered neighborhoods. And I realize that some people said this would never happen in their lifetimes, but actually it's going to start next week. So it's the first step in a very important process to have sewer available in neighborhoods. The items for discussion are going to be the type of sewer, whether it's going to be gravity or step or a combination thereof, the cost, very important item, SID creation and possible loans, etc. The date is November 6th, the day after the election, 7:30 in the evening at the Rattlesnake School Gymnasium. And please be careful for Halloween trick-or-treaters on Thursday night.
Mr. Rice, and we may even allow you to extend beyond the allowable 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, President Sampson. I have read this a couple of times, and it comes out to about 3.5 minutes. I'm going to try to read it carefully. Tonight I'm announcing my departure from the City Council and my resignation as Ward 1 alderperson effective November 4th, 1991. Earlier today I was formally offered the position of Personnel EEO Officer for the City of Missoula, and I have notified Chief Administrative Officer Dennis Taylor of my acceptance. Although this may seem like a sudden turn of events to some of you, it is the culmination of several years of professional reflection, further academic study to acquire my master's degree in public administration, and a determined search for the right opportunity to make the transition from public figure to public servant. It is deeply satisfying to me that the conclusion of this part of my professional journey will allow me to remain in Missoula. I am extremely grateful to have had the opportunity to serve on the City Council these last 9 years, thanks to the support of my friends and neighbors in Ward 1. I consider myself fortunate to have known and worked with the likes of Bill Craig, John Toole, Francis Superno, Leon Stahlcup, Ken Lucene, Marcy Watson, Jack Schomer, Al Sampson, and Will Wood over the course of nearly a decade of involvement with the city. At the same time, many of my closest ties and strongest influences have come about as the result of working side by side with city and county staff. Christina Ford, John Williams, Mike Young, Dave Wilcox, Doug Chase, Howard Schwartz, Karen Abels, Jim Nugent, Chuck Stearns, Jim Oberhofer, Jeff Badnock, Mike Kress, and Kathy Olson, to name only a few. As much as anything, it has been these experiences which have accented the gradual change in my focus from policy development to policy implementation. My decision to move to the Personnel EEO Officer position brings an end to my policy-making role with the city. For me, it is the right time and this is the right decision, a statement of my continued dedication to the city, which also recognizes that it is time for a new kind of participation within the organization. I think that everyone in this body recognizes the profound nature of the job currently faced by the city. The personnel position offers me the opportunity to work with the city staff to build the potential to respond to the new challenges on the horizon. I look forward to those challenges. The next weeks hold transition for all of us. I intend to respect my changing professional and institutional relationship with each of you, but I also want you to know that I will continue to honor the personal friendships that have developed over the years together. I thank the mayor, Dennis Taylor, and those who work in the administrative branch for the pledge of confidence that comes with this appointment. I thank all of you here for the commitment that you have made to work long hours to bring about a better future for our city. I thank all of my family and close friends for their unflagging support during the insecure times. And finally, I thank the people who live in Ward 1 for the depth of their trust and the richness of their opinions. It has been my pleasure to share this experience with all of you, and I look to our new future with dedication, energy, and enthusiasm. Thank you.
Ms. Shaffer.
Well, Fred, it took 9 years and the fact that you're leaving that chair to get the chairman to allow you to speak more than 3 minutes, and I don't think that you did. Out of loyalty to Mike Craig, who is not here, and to the many loyal twin families in the Missoula area, I wanted to comment on what a great World Series it was. And only one game had a score that was out of balance. All the others were just really good baseball. And of all the players and the many accomplishments were wonderful to watch, I was just amazed at the voice of the 7-year-old girl that sang the Star-Spangled Banner at last night's game. We're certainly, I think, going to hear a lot of her in the future. I hope so, anyway. I was just dumbfounded that a 7-year-old could even sing the Star-Spangled Banner, let alone with the professionalism and the gusto that she did.
Mr. Wood.
I got 2 quick comments. For trying to get people in to comment, on the other side of the resolution, I guess this time try to get the people to come in the week before and read the resolution, and that way if people want to go up and call up stage or whatever to get their side there, I guess that's the way I thought, was this time try to do that. If you have any suggestions, Doug, I'd be glad to hear it. And question for Bob Hermes, do you get a commission off of the TV ads running against Missoula pesticide posting and right-to-know ordinance?
Mr. Luceno.
As a member of the Conservation Committee, when we were formulating the written document that the public has available to them regarding the pesticide ordinance that will be voted on November 5th, and during the public hearings and during the debate on the council floor, I said more than once that I never believed that this was such a controversial subject that it deserved to be sent to the ballot for the public's consideration in light of our role to make these kinds of decisions, since it's definitely a legislative sort of position. However, the public has the ultimate right to decide, and the public will be deciding, but I'd like to make a couple of statements. It was argued that this was such a controversial matter in the community that it needed to go to the ballot on November 5th. I find it extremely interesting that in a document that I see for the first time today, it's a report from the Commissioner of Political Practices. It lists all the contributors to the ad campaign and to the group who's lobbying against this ordinance. I find it extremely interesting that there's only one local name and address out of all of these names. I find it very interesting that people from Butte and Belgrade and Helena and Great Falls are so interested about our local affairs. I find it extremely interesting that the $785 of cash contributions comes from outside of Missoula. Most of it, I should say. I find it very interesting that Sage Advertising has given a $5,500 loan for TV production and advertising to this group, calling itself, I want to get this right, the Missoula Homeowners Yard and Garden Care Professionals and Suppliers opposed to the city pesticide ordinance. Not one single homeowner will you find in this document of contributors to the campaign. It is clearly, in my opinion, a week away from this ballot, or I should say 2 weeks away from the ballot. It's clearly an industry versus the people contest, and I call on all Missoulians to consider this fact and to consider who's donating to the campaign to defeat this issue. A lot of hard work, and I mean hours and days and years of work, went into the writing of this document. It's a fair document. We're not trying to regulate chemicals by any means. We're simply trying to give children and grandparents and adults and middle-aged people the right to know when toxic chemicals are being sprayed next door to their homes. And I call on all Missoulians to seriously weigh the consequences and to really consider this issue on November 5th. Thank you.
Mr. Harrison.
I was going to congratulate Fred, but he's gone quicker than I thought.
There he's back again.
Well, Fred, I do congratulate you, and I wish you the best in your new position. I think that'll be it's a real challenge. I believe that position's a real challenge in the city of Missoula, and I do wish you the best. I guess I was wanting to make some comments that are prompted by some recent happenings here in Missoula in the last few weeks. And I don't want to, it's more on leadership than pointing fingers at any particular thing, but it's imperative that community leaders are perceived as the best of the best, the cream of the crop, the standard bearers of the community. As leaders, we set the direction for the community and for the future. Our decisions have long-range impacts that affect thousands of people. We not only have legal obligations, but moral obligations to these people. Leadership is for the people. That's why it's called a public trust. How we as leaders respond to public issues and public settings is important. It's been communicated to me more than once in the last couple of weeks that people feel that there's an elite in Missoula which are above the law, or at least not as affected by the law as some of the rest of the citizenry. In my mind, that's against everything the country stands for. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. That standard was set by true leaders. We must not use our positions in a manner that would give one member of society an unfair advantage over others. It doesn't matter if you like him or not. It doesn't matter if he's served the community or not. It doesn't really make any difference. When community leaders do not rise up to this as the standard bearers or the pace setters for a society, the results are noteworthy. Instead of standards, you have special interests. Instead of attracting the cream of the crop, you attract what's in it for me and people who are looking for ways to manipulate the system. Instead of public trust, you have distrust. We are the leaders, and we have to look at what we're building for the future, and I think that's a very important thing.
Mr. Hermes.
Just to respond to Will, the answer is no.
Mr. Reidy.
Yes, I don't know how many people noticed in the paper that Larry Johnson passed away. He was a member of the Design Review Board, I believe, and we just interviewed him a few months ago. He was a very nice young man, young to me. I lived in his mother's basement when I first got married, and I'd like to send my condolences to her, to Lair. And I believe we've lost a very valuable community person. I don't know what to say about this letter about Larry. I worked for Eddie's Bakery for 40 years. And I'm sure Larry will be, he's out of town now is why I'm saying anything at all, and he's not here to defend himself, he's in Butte. There's a disturbing element creeping into this election that I just don't care for, and if it was a Republican, Democrat, or anything else, I would probably say something. I'm not saying Larry didn't do this, I don't know what happened, but I'm sure when Larry gets back, I will notify him tonight in Butte. Because I think you should know about this as a person. I'm sick if this happened, and if he did, he was wrong. But I'll leave it go at that. I'll get a hold of Larry tonight and read this letter to him so that maybe he can answer.
Mr. Potts?
Well, I wanted to congratulate Fred on his new position. And hope it isn't jumping out of the fire out of the frying pan into the fire. We'll hope not anyway.
My congratulations to Fred on his new position. It's difficult to say whether or not it's a gain for the city or a loss for the city. One thing I am very sure of, it's a loss to the city council with Fred leaving the council. I think Fred has been a very big plus to the city council, and I certainly wish him well, and he's going to be a very difficult person to replace with his vast amount of knowledge and his articulate ways. But along those lines, I guess now would be the time to say a few words regarding the process of replacement. According to our city council rules, the applications will be received for that particular position 10 days after the city clerk makes notice of the vacancy or makes notice of the request for applications, which I would assume would be tomorrow. So according to our rules, the interested people who meet the qualifications of filling the seat have until November the 7th, I believe, to make application for that particular position. Then on the next regularly scheduled council meeting, which would be the 18th of November, the council will meet and we will decide among ourselves by a selection of nomination as to who we will interview for that particular position. And then we will interview and then vote on that. And it would seem as though, unless we have some special council meetings, why the selection would probably be made on the 25th of November on it, according to our rules. I don't know, Jim might be able to correct me on that if I haven't got the timing correct on that. But we would at least assume we're starting tomorrow on accepting applications for interested people who meet the legal qualification for alderperson from that particular ward. And I believe that is residents, resident for 30 days prior to selection.
I think you have to be a registered elector as well.
Yeah, okay. And probably have reached the age of 18. Okay. Now, comments from the staff.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I was contacted last week by representatives from the City of Bozeman concerning our scheduled winter meeting between the City of Missoula and the City of Bozeman. And we've also, because of issues like affordable housing, extended an invitation both to the officials from Montana State University and University of Montana, and they're requesting that we postpone the meeting from its scheduled time of Saturday, November 2nd, to a date later on in this fall or winter. So I'll be coordinating with you on dates that council members will be available. City Manager Wysocki from Bozeman assured me that the postponing of this meeting had nothing to do with Brad Lebo or his colleagues coming to town on Saturday. They just would like to have more time to devote to what's a fairly long agenda that both the City of Bozeman and the City of Missoula would like to address together.
You're afraid the Grizzlies are going to beat them, that's what.
Who said that, Mr. President?
Comments from the staff. Mr. Bender.
Bruce Bender, City Engineer. Due to the recent request or comments, whatever we received about Front Street, I thought I should make an update about what's going on in Front Street and kind of help you understand in case you're getting any comments. And it seems like we're getting a lot of comments on our projects this year from 3rd Street on. So
Front Street's turned into a rather complicated project, and I guess it's important to understand the background on it real quickly. Initially, Front Street was going to be strictly a curb and sidewalk project. City went in July, basically, and began that project. It encountered a lot of aspects underneath the sidewalks, as far as 5 buried fuel tanks and a few other things. And along the way, it also replaced 2 abandoned water lines and replaced 6 of them amongst that work. And then basically completed that job by August. So we were in there approximately a little over a month with our job with curb and sidewalk. But meanwhile, anyway, what happened was that Mountain Water discovered, as we got into it anyway, that there was a lot more water problems with this project, and therefore had decided that it needed to replace the water main on there, because they were unable to determine that prior to us actually having to work on the water mains. And the way they determined that is by basically listening for water leaks, I guess is a general term on that. And they weren't able to determine those situations prior to us excavating the water main with water services. So they basically had to back off and see if they had money to replace the whole water main, because they knew the city was going to overlay it. And therefore, after about a month anyway, Mountain Water is able to look at its funding and get a contractor in there and started up its job in October then. And so basically we're still involved in this project right now, and that's basically a water main replacement. And then when they got into the water main replacement, they discovered that there were also a lot more water service leaks that they weren't able to determine when we were doing the sidewalk project. And so as a result of that, the water services had to be replaced under some of the new sidewalk. Now, Mountain Water recognizes that that's their responsibility, and they're not putting any of that burden cost on the property owners, except for the normal cost, that is for materials as far as the pipe. But it does talk about the complexities of determining where water leaks are at, and obviously we, the city, we want to be cooperative with Mountain Water in determining the loss of a water resource, and so we don't want to be an impediment to them completing that job. And we do try to spend a lot of time communicating with the property owners and the businesses there that this is what's going on. But obviously to them, we're in there now for about 3 months, and they don't understand how a 1-month job got into a 3-month job. But that's kind of the scope of it. Right now, Mountain Water will be hopefully completing their work by the end of the week, weather permitting, and we can have it paved out, weather permitting, within a week anyway. But they're continuing to discover, even as of today, they discovered 2 more water services that had to be completely changed out that they weren't planning to.
Mr. Race?
I know I'm gone, but Bruce, recognizing the complexity of the issue, and I believe this is mainly a problem, it's particularly a problem in the downtown area. I know it's not exclusively there, but a large part of it is there. Doesn't it make sense to sort of anticipate that there will be those sorts of problems in the future and try to schedule it that way? I mean, in other words, get the projects underway, first thing in the summer, so that we can make sure that we're going to get it taken care of quickly and effectively. It seems to me that we may start running into some serious problems with the weather. I mean, we're going to have a real cold spell now, and I don't know. I haven't looked at the Weather Channel the last couple of days to see what's behind what we're getting now, but we might not get it paved, right?
Oh, it'll get paved. I mean, it'll have to get paved. That street will get overlaid by the city, so no matter what conditions that they're out there, it'll get paved. I guess if we knew that the water main had to be replaced, yeah, you would have backed it up. But we've done sidewalks all over the downtown. In fact, this is about the 6th year of it, and this is the first water main replacement that came out of a sidewalk project. We cannot schedule. If we were limited, we started that sidewalk project in July, which seems to me a rather early part of the summer.
Right.
If we were to schedule this early in the year, we wouldn't do any sidewalk after June. So that I don't see how we have any control over it. And I know that people expect that somehow the city should have control over this, but there's a balancing of what you run into. When you tear up a street, you're going to find a lot of things that we thought weren't there. And the other problem that Mount Water has is determining where the water leaks and water mains leak, and they go out there because of our aquifer. The water goes straight down, so they use their sounding devices to try to find it. But you can have a bad leak over here that completely so loud that it covers up the other leaks over here, and they have no idea it's leaking over here until you get rid of the bad leak, and then all of a sudden you can hear more leaks over here. It's a complicated business for them, and I feel our role is to try to cooperate with them, and they're being very responsive, I think, to allocate monies. We could have just went and covered it up and said, well, wait till there's funds later on, but they're going out there and trying to do it.
I just wanted to comment too. One of the problems that Mountain Water ran into was getting permission from the state. Those guys are real short-handed, and it took forever to get that permission. And I'd like to comment on Bruce too. These guys are running. I mean, they have projects all over the place, and it's amazing how much work you guys have gotten done this year, I think. And I know these kind of delays put a lot of pressure on, but I tell you what, I think you've done a good job this year.
Mr. Rice.
Yeah, I don't, my comments were not designed to be critical. In fact, I have talked to a number of the people in the Front Street area, and I've heard nothing but good things. So I think that's, I think, real good that that's what we're hearing, because they've recognized that there's been a lot of externalities here, things that weren't anticipated, and they are happy that they've been responded to, and they feel that the work is being done in an efficient fashion.
You're going to be a lot happier when it gets done, too.
They probably would.
Further comments from the staff? Al? Mr. Nugent.
For purposes of letting the council and the public know the qualifications for city councilman, with the books I have available at this moment, Section 7-4, 4401 requires that an alderman be a resident for at least 60 days preceding selection to office, or a resident of an area newly annexed for 60 days prior to selection. Section 7-4, 4104 requires that the person be a citizen of the United States. Section 2-16-102 requires the person to be a citizen of the state. And as I recall, the Constitution also specifies in Article 4, Section 4, that any qualified elector is eligible to any public office. And I don't have the election law statutes with me, but as I recall, you must be a registered elector in order to be eligible for municipal office. And the point is that it's 60 days, not 30 days as well.
And you can register any day from 8 to 5 days a week at the county courthouse. Mr. Stearns.
On Thursday, we handed out the annual report and the audit to the Finance and License Committee. For those of you that didn't attend, we put it in your mailbox, which I presume made it on your desks this evening. The audit will be discussed in Finance and License Committee this Thursday with the auditor. It's a very clean and good audit, with the major qualification being the values on fixed assets, which we've had not been able to attain in past years, but we are working in earnest on that again.
Further comments of the staff? Okay, new business. Any new business? I'm not sure whether this is the place for it or not, but under new business, I would like to appoint a select committee on new redevelopment district. And I would like to appoint, I believe, as the outgoing chair of the Economic Development Committee has recommended here, if they are willing to serve. And number one would be Will Wood, because he represents Ward 2, one of the wards that includes some of that district. Mike Craig, because she also represents part of that district. Myself, because I also represent part of the district. Larry McLaughlin, or his designee, as the chairman of PAZ, and Doug Harrison, because he probably represents some of the business interest in that particular area. If those people would be willing to serve, why, that would be the select committee, at which time we will set a meeting date later on under meeting agenda. Okay, if there's nothing else under new business items to be referred.
Okay, the first is one that's too late for the agenda. It's the awarding of the contract to the firm Urban Edges for the development of a non-motorized transportation plan to Conservation Committee, and that's a request by Jeff Badnock.
Chuck, I want a late referral, the one I was speaking of, on the study of particles and the effect on the air and the environment of the putting the De-Icer on. Al and I talked this over, and I think Al thought we might send it to Public Works first. Also in that, we'll in the referral, we'll look into the funding of it.
Yeah, that item would be referred to Public Works and also to the Health Department.
Okay. Then from the regular agenda, request by Dan Rogers regarding removal of maple tree at 714 Locust to Conservation. Request by Dan Rogers regarding removal of 3 elm trees at 701 Rawlings. These trees are located inside a fence to Conservation. Request by Chuck Stearns regarding tax increment release agreement with Urban Transportation District to Economic Development. Request by Chuck Stearns regarding claims to finance and license, and regarding resolution for intercap draw for loan on new street front-end loader to finance and license. Request by Joe Pratt regarding reauthorization of a resolution authorizing the City of Missoula's participation in various job training and work experience programs during calendar year 1992 to finance and license. Request by Chuck Gibson regarding executive summary of Fire Department quarterly report to Public Safety. Request by Bruce Bender regarding payment to L.S. Jensen for oversizing of sewer main extension on Duncan Drive to Public Works.
Okay. Next is
Excuse me.
Mr. Rice.
Yeah. To Conservation, we need to have an interim chair, and similarly to Economic Development.
Are you going to chair those meetings? That's what you want to refer, is the interim chair. Okay. Any further referrals? If not, the communication, petitions, reports, and announcements of meetings.
Okay, finance and license.
Thursday at 3.
Judicial review.
No meeting.
Plat annexation and zoning.
I don't see anything on there to hold a meeting for. There's a lot of stuff, but it's all carryover.
Public safety. Public Works.
Tuesday at 3.
Cable TV Committee.
Wednesday at 4.
Conservation. And you have an 8th item, or 2 extra items, Urban Edges contracts and appointment of interim chair.
We'll meet at 4 o'clock on Thursday.
Sunlight Land Subcommittee. Economic Development.
4:30 on Thursday.
Sign Ordinance Subcommittee.
Does anyone have any idea when the new select committee should be meeting? I wonder if there's a chance. What is your schedule, Doug? What?
Just when just name and I'll try to.
Thursday is going to be full from 3 o'clock on to 5. I wonder if perhaps we could meet at 2:30 on Thursday, just ahead of finance, and at least set up some time frame as to when we can get something done. Is there, I think the MRA staff left, but I don't know whether we'll have time to notify, well, let's give it a whirl. Jeff, we were thinking about holding that select committee meeting, the first one perhaps tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow sometime. Would that be fit into your schedule?
Later in the afternoon.
Maybe immediately after public safety, which would be what, 4:15? Okay, we will try to set it up at 4:15, and if I could ask staff to notify the rest of the members of that select committee, the two of them that are not here tonight, mainly Larry McLaughlin and Mike Craig, and we'll try to at least set up an agenda tomorrow at that meeting to see how we can work the thing out with the time allotted. Okay.
I need to reread all of this.
Yes, please do.
As soon as we get it under control. Okay, Finance and License, Thursday at 3, no judicial review, no Plat Annexation and Zoning Committee meeting. Public Safety, Tuesday at 4, Public Works, Tuesday at 3, Cable TV Committee, Wednesday at 4, Conservation, Thursday at 4, no Sunlight Land Subcommittee, Economic Development, Thursday at 4:30, no Sign Ordinance Subcommittee meeting, and the Select Committee on New Urban Renewal and Tax Increment District will meet Tuesday at 4:15 p.m.
If there is nothing further, we are adjourned.